Hi, and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date that players have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Now, today it looks like we've got defensive midfielders coming out of our ears today. Haven't been linked with many all summer, but all of a sudden today, many of the media outlets seem to be linking us with a lot of defensive midfielders, starting off with Illarramendi. Illarramendi, who has been a massive target all summer for Liverpool. We're being told today that Arsenal are now willing to bid for the defensive midfielder from Real Madrid. For me, would be a very, very good signing if we made it. He's only 25 years of age. Arsenal, of course, were after him before a couple of seasons ago, but he opted to join Real Madrid. It's not worked out for him at Madrid. He doesn't get any game time. And now Arsenal being linked with a move for him. We're going to have to watch this space to see if what will happen with that. As I said, Liverpool have been the favourites to sign him. But let's see what happens with that. As we've seen in recent days, clubs gazumping each other. But Arsenal linked with a move today for Illarramendi. Another defensive midfielder that they've been linked with today, again, very heavily today. As part of a double deal, actually, we're being told that Arsenal really want to sign Edison Cavani from PSG, but also really, really want this guy, Adrien Rabiot. We've spoken about him, and they're willing to do a double swoop for the two of them. You can see both of them there, Cavani and Rabiot. Rabiot, youngster, really, really, highly thought of over there in France. They think he's a top player. But in that star-studded team that they've got over there, he just doesn't seem to get hardly any game time whatsoever. And, he's famously, his mum, who's his agent, has made calls into Arsenal to find out if they'd be interested, etc. Listen, it would be a decent deal. I don't know much about Rabiot. The bits that I've read about him, that he's a very, very good player. Whether it's what Arsenal need, I suppose, listen, he's a young player, so he's another player who'd be able to challenge Coquelin. He's another player who'd be very mobile, I presume, and be able to really get around the pitch. He is seen also as a sort of like a box-to-box midfielder, but he's been linked with Arsenal today, as is another PSG player, Thiago Motta, very experienced player, 32 now, 32 years of age. Listen, he's been a top player over the years. Played for Barcelona, he's Brazilian. He's a very stable player. But PSG stalling over a new deal for him. Looks like they're going to be willing to let him go. And again, Arsenal have been linked with him. Quite a lot of clubs are getting linked with him, to be fair. But Arsenal have been linked with him. Again, I don't know. Is this the sort of player that Arsenal need? He's an older player. We've already got... Mikel Arteta in that sort of role. We're kind of looking for a younger sort of player, I would have thought, in that role. But Thiago Motta has been linked, as has another defensive midfielder, one that we've been linked with for years, one that we were told once upon a time that Arsenal made a bid for of about £80 million a couple of seasons ago, which was rejected, and that is Lars Bender. Bender, of course, who plays for Bayer Leverkusen. He's now 26 years of age. According to the media outlet Tutor Mercato Web, Arsenal sent scouts last week to watch Bayer Leverkusen in their playoff game against Lazio, which they lost, by the way. They went to watch Lars Bender play. And I'm not sure how it would work if you play in a Champions League qualifier, if that cup ties you. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but also apparently took a really good look at Lars Bender last week. And, he has been a player that, of course, was a very, very hot prospect over there in Germany. Then he suffered like some injuries that's really set him back. But he's on his way back now. And I think if Arsenal was to make a signing like Lars Bender, that would please a lot of Arsenal fans. He is a big, imposing player. He's young enough and mobile enough, gets around, and he does that holding job very, very well. Considered one of the best around when he's on his game. So I think that would be a signing that would please a lot of Arsenal fans. It would be very expensive to pull off. But Why can't we pull these off? If we want to pull it off, why not? We got the money. We've got the money, and it is getting frustrating for Arsenal fans at the moment. We're seeing big deals being pulled off by Manchester City. Yesterday they signed Otamendi. We're seeing Chelsea now getting very active. Fans want to see us get active. It's getting very frustrating for a lot of gooners out there. Another defensive midfielder. This time he plays for Villarreal. He's been linked by our very good ITK, Mr. Emmanuel Giannini, who's been linking Benzema all summer, giving us updates almost daily on his Twitter account on how we're going to be signing Benzema. Well, today he also says we're after this guy, Bruno Serrano, who plays for Villarreal. Again, quite old, 31 years of age, Serrano. But again, on all accounts, very, very good defensive midfielder. No nonsense, knows his job, gets the job done. That's the sort of player that Arsenal need, and very good technically as well. And we're being linked with him very heavily today. Most of it because of Giannini. Giannini so far this summer has not been very accurate in his predictions. He's been the one who's been going on about Benzema all summer. If it comes off, he's going to look like a right hero, and he's going to be like, I told you so. If it doesn't come off, he's going to look like the mug of the season. And finally, Grzegorz Kachowiak. We all know about him. He's been linked yet again today. Wenger denied it last week. When asked about him, he simply said no. That was what the answer. Are you interested in signing him? Wenger, N-O, no. But it's still out and about all over the place that Arsenal are still looking at this guy. There's a release clause, as we know, of £21.5 million that would get him away from Sevilla. He had a great season last year. He's still young, Polish international, and Arsenal taking a strong look at him. So that's a lot of defensive midfielders there that Arsenal have been linked with today. Some young, some old. Which one of those are Arsenal going to go for? Certainly, if they want to make a defensive midfielder happen, they're out there. And it does seem to look like Arsenal are looking to get rid of Matthew Flamini. So that does open up a space for a defensive midfielder to come in. Is he going to go for, if he does get rid of Flamini, would he go for a younger defensive midfielder like a Rabiot or a Lars Bender? Or would he go for one of these experienced guys like Serrano? This is what we're going to have to wait and see. But the window is getting nearer to closing, and we all want to see a deal come off. Finally, can't go today without talking about Karim Benzema. Yeah, you know, he's been linked all over the place today. Many places suggesting that a bid has been made. Read also today that the bookies have slashed odds on it. Listen, we really don't know on this deal. It's so hard to call this one. All the indicators point towards him staying at Madrid, but you just don't know. With some of the deals that have happened recently, you know, I mean, Otamendi yesterday, who went to Manchester City all summer, it looked like he was going to Man United. Of course, the Pedro deal that I spoke about yesterday, not one of the journalists, all these Spanish journalists, Guillaume Balaguer, all these guys, experts who come out and say, no way is this happening. None of them called it. That every single one of them said he was going to Manchester United. He ended up at Chelsea. We don't know what's going to happen. We have to wait and see what happens with the Benzema deal. But I know one thing for sure. Arsenal are under a lot of pressure with what has happened recently, with the signings that Manchester City have made, with the signings that everybody's made. If you look at, we're the only team in the Premier League that has not signed an outfield player in this window. Every other team, Stoke getting deals done like Shaqiri, you know, Spurs have signed players, Leicester have signed players, Man United, Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool. Where are our players? We've not signed anybody. If that window closes and we don't sign anybody, I think it would be so negative. Arsene Wenger's been known to do stuff like this, but it'd be very, very negative. They've got to make a big signing, I'm telling you. Andy G, let's get into the comments. He says, you're always going on about he's on about me. You're always talking about there aren't any world-class players out there. That's because everyone else is effing buying them, he says. He said, and he goes, for F's sake, Wenger, sort it out. Now, listen, I never said there aren't no world-class players out there. I said world-class strikers that are available. Show me who they are that are available. They're all with clubs. Benzema, Cavani, they're all very, very difficult to get done. If they're ones that are available, ones that are out there that, like, say, like Pedro, that, you know he's going to be moving his surplus to requirements. One like that, that's like gettable, very easily gettable if you're just going with the money. I don't see him. I don't see him out there. I honestly don't. Lewandowski, he's at Bayern. You know, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not about world-class players per se, and even them sort of players are not easy to get done. I like this one from Apex 10. He says, I just don't understand why people have forgotten about Hulk. Now, I hadn't even considered Hulk, but that'd be a good signing, I think. Be very expensive, but you know, that'd be a decent signing. Hulk from Zenit. He says, or Axel Witsel as well. Again, a very good defensive midfielder. Arsenal should do a double swoop for both of these players from Zenit. Hulk is an amazing player, and Witsel is a very skilled defensive midfielder, as well as being a fantastic enforcer. Witsel, I really rate him. He'd be a top player. Hulk, I think, would be a good signing. Didn't cover himself in glory in the World Cup, but I think in the Premier League he'd do well. I think he'd be very expensive. They paid a lot of money for him, Zenit St. Petersburg. And again, would they be willing to sell? That would be the question. But I'd have Summer Hulk at the Emirates. I think, yeah, he's quick, strong. I think he'd go down very well. BPL Crackdown says Pedro was going to be leaving anyway. It was a matter of which team. But Arsenal are not even sure if Benzema wants to leave. That's why it's a bit easier to do a deal like Pedro, because everyone knew he was going. He also says, what would you do if we signed Charlie Austin as a panic buy? He's asking this question not just to me, to all Arsenal fans. He said, if we sign Charlie Austin instead of Benzema, what would Arsenal fans do? They won't be happy. That's all I know. Arsenal fans would not be happy with that. Jake Treacy says, why don't we sign the defensive midfielder from Sevilla and another centre-back? Because both of our centre-backs are 30. So we need more of a backup than Paulista. And no Benzema. He's only this is what he's saying about Benzema. He said, no, we don't want Benzema. He's only a little bit better than Giroud. Go for Cavani. Forget about his drought seasons. He's still a world-class player and would lift us on and off the pitch. So a few suggestions there. As I said, I think Arsenal now, for me, leaving things so late, as we always do, we're under a lot of pressure at the moment to make signings, because, as I said, Bournemouth have made signings. Southampton have made signings. Everybody's made outfield player signings. We've only signed Czech, who we signed at the start of the window. Nobody else. We're under a lot of pressure. We need to get a big deal over the line to, you know, give the place a real lift. Arsenal Fan TV. See you around about the same time tomorrow.